Good morning, Players family. Thank you for joining us for our first ever Richland Players Celebrity Coffee. I'm your host, Hazel Quack. With me today is Mr. Mark Jensen, one of your Richland Players volunteers. Right now, Players is in production for the show Fools by Neil Simon. Mark, you're in the cast for the upcoming show, is that right?
That is correct.
What is your role? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I play Mishkin the postman, one of the townspeople in Kulyenchikov, and the town has been cursed with stupidity for 200 years, and we are desperately trying to break the curse. And you'll have to come to the play to see what has to be done to break the curse.
Ah, I see. And Mark, what made you decide to audition for this show in particular?
Well, I am a member of the artistic committee that reviews plays for possible inclusion in upcoming seasons, so I had read the play ahead of time, and it looked like it would be pretty fun, and that there were several roles in there that I felt that I could handle. So I auditioned and was given the role of Mishkin.
I see, all right. And as a seasoned veteran to the Players stage, what would you say is the best piece of advice that you could give to someone who has never auditioned for a play before?
Just show up at an audition and be willing to try something new, go out of your comfort zone a little bit. But the auditions are really pretty fun. And yeah, you may not have any acting experience or don't really know what to do, but there are lots of people there who will help you out. And if you don't get a role, keep trying, because eventually you will land a role. That's what happened with me.
So it sounds like having a positive attitude and just willing to go back and keep trying is important. Yes,
you have to realize that not everybody can get a role in every play that they audition for, but eventually the right combination will come along and you'll get your chance.
Part of your role as a volunteer at the Richland Players is your work as archive specialist at the Richland Players. So the Richland Players has been in business for 78 years at this point. So that's a lot of history. Could you tell us about your efforts in the archives?
Well, when I got interested in the Richland Players, I was always interested in the long history of it because I like history. And I found out that somebody, for the 50th anniversary of the theater, had compiled a very large series of scrapbooks with information going back to 1944. So I started going through looking at those, and I realized that if they're just sitting in the office in binders, nobody's actually looking at them. So I started scanning stuff out of them. And then I thought, you know, it would be a really neat idea to try to get a complete list of everybody who's acted in plays and what their roles are. So I started working on a Word file that lists all of the plays in chronological order and who the director, the producer, the author, and the cast are. And then I made up a spreadsheet that could be searched. So, for instance, you could type my name in and then find all of the plays that I've been in and all of the roles that I have done. I'm guessing I'm maybe 90% complete, and unfortunately that might be as complete as I can get because we've lost a lot of stuff. I was chiefly getting the cast list from programs, and we don't have all of the programs for those 78 years. I have a few other ideas for maybe getting some of those gaps filled in, but I need to find the time to start doing a little more in-depth research than what I've done before.
Well, it sounds like you're a superhero at our theater. You're doing a lot of really important work for us.
Thank you.
Besides volunteering at the Richland Players, you also worked with the Hanford B Reactor tours. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I can even show you a mug that I have. It looks like it blurred out. Anyway, I have a B Reactor mug here. As I mentioned, I really like history, and I have worked at the Hanford site. I worked there for 38 years before retiring, and I'm doing some subcontracting now, so I'm still working there. And I was always fascinated with the Hanford history as well. And many, many years ago, I've kind of lost count, but it's at least 10 or 12 years ago, I went out to B Reactor on a tour, and one of the tour guides, and we have to give ourselves a fancy name, so we're docents, was a person I had worked with at N Reactor, and he asked me why I wasn't a docent. And by the end of the tour, I had arrangements made to talk to the people in charge and have a little interview, and then I was selected as a docent after that. So I've been doing the tours ever since then. I really enjoy it. I like to meet all the different people who come to see the tours, and like talking to people about the history of B Reactor and Hanford.
Wow. And our area is full of a lot of rich history too. What would you say is the most rewarding time you've spent volunteering?
I really feel rewarded by being able to do that compilation of Richland players, actors, directors, producers, etc. It was a lot of work. It took me at least 2 years to just find the time to go through and compile all of that. And I just really feel like that's an accomplishment, and I'm really happy with what I've done so far, although there's more that I would like to do.
Volunteering is a really rewarding effort. I can attest to that. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself? You know, you're an avid volunteer at the Richland Players. What would you most likely find yourself doing on the weekends?
Well, my main hobby is film photography, and I like to collect old workable cameras that I can get film for and use them to take pictures. And I develop the film myself. I have a little dark room in my basement. And as a little side part of that hobby, when I find old cameras, usually at antique stores, they sometimes have film in them. And I will develop that film. And I have an Instagram page where I post some of the results of these pictures that I have found on old film. And it's really surprising how well some old film has stood up over the years. I've developed stuff that has to be at least 60 years old and gotten pretty good pictures from them. Sometimes they're not very good, but they're often very interesting just to see the way people lived 50 or 60 years ago.
That sounds like it can be a really relaxing and really informative hobby as well.
Yes, it is.
And as we're going into the summertime, you know, the summer concerts are starting to come out into our community. What would you say is the first concert you attended as a teenager?
Well, I was thinking back on that. I grew up here in the Tri-Cities, and there really were not a lot of concerts here, if any. I did go to a concert when I was in college at Washington State University in Pullman, and I may still technically have been a teenager then. But the first concert I can remember going to was Neil Diamond, who did a concert at Washington State University. So he was really big in the late 70s. So, you know, that was kind of the trendy thing. But I'd been a Neil Diamond fan long before he got really, really popular. So as far as I know, that's the first concert I've gone to.
Well, I appreciate you for meeting with us today, Mark. Everyone, Neil Simon's Fools opens at your Richland Players Theater June 24 and runs through July 10. Tickets are on sale at your Richland Players box office or at www.richlandplayers.org. Bye for now.
Bye.